Imagine a society where children were trained from birth to become the ultimate warriors, where men and women alike were forged in the fires of discipline and battle. This is Sparta, a land of legend, where King Leonidas led 300 fearless soldiers against a vast Persian army, Thermopylae. But beyond the myth and movie line lies a captivating story of sacrifice, culture, and unparalleled bravery. Join us as we uncover the true essence of Spartan life and the legacy of King Leonidas. This is a tale you won't want to miss. Most people across the planet know about the Spartans thanks to a hugely successful motion picture based on a best-selling graphic novel. We think of Spartans as burly Scotsmen with thick beards shouting at everyone. Or people repeated familiar movie lines, for everyone wanted to be Leonidas leading his 300 into the Battle of Thermopylae against the Persian army in 480 BCE. Before Spartans became a part of popular culture, they were much like their contemporary portrayal. Much of what we think we know about Sparta and its people has a lot to do with embellishment. Let's look at the Spartans and see if we can separate the facts from the fiction. Sure, Leonidas marched his personal honor guard to the hot gates to meet the Persian army. King Leonidas was the commander of the Hellenic League, confederation of Greek states. The 300 warriors were the best of the best, not the entire defense of Sparta, but enough in Leonidas's eyes to show a strong force for the other armies that joined his ranks. While most people think the two-day battle against Xerxes I and his Persian army happened with the Spartan king's 300 honor guard, the truth is a little different. Leonidas led additional forces as well. Many other Greek city-states, threatened by the Persian king's advances, joined the famous 300. Historians estimate the king led an additional 6,000 to 7,000 Greek. 300 Spartans, according to the vastly popular writer at the time, Herodotus, made for a riveting retelling of the ancient story. He didn't leave out the other warriors fighting alongside the Spartans, but people appreciated the grandeur Herodotus used in describing the Spartan. Herodotus grew up in the Persian Empire. He's one of the first Greek writers to compile source material about individual events like the Battle of Thermopylae, and critically arranged the work into historiographic narratives. He's considered the father of history. It took historians and archaeologists many years to corroborate his collected data on many points. The Greek historians' accounts are surprisingly accurate. Leonidas was an interesting man before he led his honor guard to their deaths. According to Herodotus, the Spartan king everyone knows was born of incest. It wasn't an uncommon practice in many cultures. It lasted for generations and is still around today. Leonidas's mother was his father's niece as well as his wife. The boy who would become king grew up like most of the other Spartan men. Their culture started as one of the many city-states along the Eurotas River in Laconia. The city-state of Lacedaemon isn't as well known as the settlement of Sparta within the Peloponnese. Interestingly, the political system Sparta used had two kings. The wealthy ruling classes had much to do with a certain type of monarchy. Kings were chosen from two households. Kings from the Agiad and Eurypontid families held together the city-state up to its dissolution in 92 BCE. Alexandria's son, Leonidas I, the most famous of the Spartan kings, ruled from 490 to 480 BCE. Everyone knows how his reign ended. Boys were expected to protect their city-state and the rest of Greece when Spartans were called into battle. This meant boys received special treatment and training that started at the age of 7. The Aegae was a specially designed, rigorous training and education program mandated for all males, dealing with the preparation of men for war. There were exceptions for ruling houses. For example, the firstborn sons of Aegae and Eurypontid were exempt from the military education. Leonidas received the same training as other Spartan boys, as he wasn't the firstborn son of Alexandrius. Leonidas's elder brother Cleomenes ruled from circa 519 to 490 BCE. Another brother, Dorius, was a famed Spartan athlete and warrior. It's a tricky line to the throne, and Leonidas succeeded Cleomenes first when Cleomenes died under mysterious circumstances. Leonidas married Cleomenes' daughter, his niece, Gorgo. They had one son, Pleistarchus, who eventually inherited the co-kingdom in 480, ruling until his death around 458 BCE. Pleistarchus did not participate in the agoge as he was the king's only son. However, like all men of Sparta, he had to maintain rigorous fitness and the ability to fight at all times. Men of Sparta had to maintain a healthy lifestyle until the age of 60. If they lived beyond that age, Spartan men could enjoy some much-needed relaxation. What of the weak and sickly children? Popular culture of that time, as explained by Herodotus' history lessons, was one of mightiness. Spartans were a savage race of warriors with an overwhelming reputation to fight at all costs. They were known to taunt their enemies, even bullying their neighboring city-states. One motto of Sparta was molon labe, a Greek phrase for come and take. It's believed that King Leonidas uttered the phrase when asked to surrender. The Spartans were a rugged lot with a hardened reputation. Sparta's enemies believed that all Spartans were descendants of the gods, and those beliefs worked well for the Spartans. It was thought that Spartans threw their offspring off cliffs if they had body deformities or blemishes. There is no historical or archaeological evidence that proves this tall tale. While Spartans weren't nice people, throwing babies off cliffs is an anecdotal trait, not a proven one. It wasn't only the men who were fierce and dangerous. Spartan women had reputations that rivaled the men. Unlike the Athenians, Spartan women had protections offered to them by the monarchies. If something happened to their husbands, wives were allowed to inherit property and legally own land and belongings. Since boys ran off at the age of 7 to become men, girls attended a type of schooling that balanced physical fitness and better education. Unfortunately, because most historical accounts we know of Spartan customs come from Herodotus, he focused more on the male ruling classes, not women. His idea of Spartan women suggested they had the reputation of managing their men as well as being promiscuous. Unlike other Greek cultures that put women socially below men, Spartan women were elevated and had considerable power. They ate well, had status, respect, and even a voice in political circles. An important comparison between Spartan women and their contemporaries: girls weren't married off at the ages of 12 or 13. Instead, Spartan law forbade women from marrying until their late teens, early 20s. They were considerate of the children, knowing that fully developed women meant stronger, healthier boys at birth. Nonetheless, it's important to note that the very first woman to win the Olympic Games in 396 BCE was a Spartan. Cyniska won a second time in 392 BCE. Both wins were in the four-horse chariot race. Like other ancient Greek city-states, the Spartans had slaves, choosing to subjugate their enemies and dehumanize them. Such happened to the entire Greek population of the Helots who lived in Messenia. The Helots served an important purpose for the Spartans, generally used as agricultural slaves. However, when Spartans wanted to pad their ranks marching into battle, Helot men had to fight alongside their masters, whether they wanted to or not. Spartans weren't all about bullying and blood. They had some contemporary qualities. Music and poetry were greatly appreciated by the Spartans, and traveling musicians willingly journeyed to Sparta to learn their cultural influences. However, it's important to know if you're a wandering minstrel and challenge a Spartan musician to a musical contest, it's a good idea to let the Spartan win. They were considered very defensive of their musical talents, forbidding all Helots from performing or singing in tune. Unlike the monetary system of their Greek counterparts, the Spartans didn't use coinage for internal transactions. For example, they used iron spits as cash. These spits were made by extremely skilled smiths and used for roasting wild game or fowl. Spartans had reputations as cruel, almost xenophobic people. However, being part of the Greek trade routes, they learned to deal with other cultures from far and wide. Because of their immense feats of strength and prowess, as well as their claim that they were direct descendants of Hercules, stories of Sparta and its people were known around the world. The Spartans fiercely protected the legend that both ruling dynasties, the Aegeid and Eurypontid, came from twin brothers Procles and Eurysthenes. According to mythology, they were the great-great-great-grandsons of the mighty Heracles. 371 BCE saw the end of Sparta's prominent reign. Defeated at the Battle of Leuctra by the Thebans, they withdrew publicly from the Greek city-states to maintain political independence that lasted until 146 BCE, when the Romans conquered Greece. By the end, Sparta wasn't part of the trade routes, and many Spartans departed their birthplace, moving to a fortified municipality in Laconia called Mistra. They were a proud people, and their legacy still lives through history, as evidenced by the continuing retelling of old tales.